We are in Art Rotterdam, and you are the curator of the new section.
Yes.
It's always very interesting for me looking for new forks and new waves to come. And actually, I talked in Zurich with Julien Colli. He's a gallerist, and also he was a graffiti artist. And he told me that usually the people are most creative in around 14 and between 14 and maybe 17, let's say like that. And it's amazing because when I think about artists, they usually graduate around 25 or something. Here in Art Rotterdam, who is the youngest people?
First of all, as a curator, working with the upcoming scene, young scene, is something very important for me. And this is also the reason why I'm working, in general, I would say, building infrastructures through curatorial work is one of my goals in my work for especially the last 5-6 years, becoming more, clear. Within that, working with the new languages, I call it new languages, because art is something that you cannot really define by the age group. Of course, museums try to do that. They do young artist biennials and stuff like that. But for me, that new is always about a theme, a methodology, a form that contradicts and challenges the status quo. That's how I understand the new. I believe also, in the kind of society that we live, it's very important to invest in that challenge, in that confrontation, in order to go ahead, in order to build better infrastructure for us all in the long term. So I don't have an answer, like a kind of a number answer to your question, because in the new art section, it's yes, there are very young artists, but there are also artists whose work is not known at all in this scene, and who are actually experimenting very different materiality and installation models. So it's a combination of, I think, artists and gallery positions who dare to go against status quo.
Of course, age tells nothing about the artist's mind, because someone can be fresh at the age of 80, maybe.
I hope to stay very fresh when I'm 80. That's my goal.
Or someone who just be conform people at 20. It depends on the family status as well and everything like that. But maybe what is more and more interesting is the video, I mean the medium video, because or at least I see that in many places, many art fairs, that every gallery try to exhibit video things. Do you see that, or there are other interesting things going on?
I do think that the question of today is really interpretation of materialities and everyday technologies. I think this is the main concern of artists right now. They are going back to ancestral knowledge, ancestral wisdom, everyday, information, and they build on top of it. And this is something very important. This is what we need today, because what you call new also comes from the ancestral information that, for example, in Europe, people unfortunately disconnected with long time ago.
There is a description in the webpage of Art Rotterdam, and I hope it's your text, but you mentioned that the world changed dramatically.
Yes, it's taken from my interview that I gave to one of the websites working with Art Rotterdam, so it's by me. Yeah.
Yeah, of course the COVID changed a lot, of course the digitalization, and people are more and more looking to the screens, to the mobiles, and they consume art on their phones and not necessarily go to the galleries. They still going to galleries, but maybe less, or I don't know. I traveled like 2 hours for this discussion and for to see that. I think it's not that much, but maybe someone needs to travel more to get there. Maybe consider to look what's online.
Well, I mean, I went all the way to Peruvian Amazon in order to meet the community whose actually community work that I'm going to show in my next exhibition in Germany, and take their personal permission. So I traveled 15 hours. It's a materialist approach, so I really appreciate that you are here, because these personal conversations are much more important Yes, of course, the digital technologies and digital models of communication help us a lot, to do business, let's say, to move forward. But the essence of real communication, face-to-face communication, I think we will go back to that, or we will understand that. We will understand the value of that more and more in this kind of environment, because there are so many misunderstandings generated in messages or in emails, and you really see now like a kind of also political world that is built on those tensions, which is very weird to see.
I wanted to ask something about the internalization, because you are very international. I think you live in Berlin, but you have a lot of connections through Turkey to London and all the way around. And what I see is that people are getting more and more similar in different cities. I mean, the people who are here in Rotterdam might have a lot of common, what they're doing in an everyday situation, what they do in I don't know, Berlin, or maybe even in Sarajevo, I don't know. Do you also see that, or people are still very different, even in Europe?
What do you mean exactly? Like that similarization, meaning like kind of people repeating each other in models and the kind of work they do, or?
I mean, usually the people, a lot of people may be working from home, they have a computer, they have a laptop, they look into the screens, they typing, doing emails, all the kind of things. Then they try to walk maybe in the city or run or bicycle a little. At the evening they try to look, there are many streaming platforms for films, so we know that how
binge watching, yes.
Or we know also the social media and this type of movement when you do with your phone. So is it similar, right?
I would say, of course, like the hegemonic structures in the world, they would like to similarize people as much as possible, because then it's easier to control and it's easier to direct. But at the same time, I think we are kind of closing this, I call it late liberal fascism. We are coming to the last chapters of it. It will be painful, but it's still the last chapters, I think. So of course, people are divided between what they like and dislike. What they put a thumb up and thumb down. And then in a way, of course, we are very conditioned, cognitive and conditioned animals. So the devices that we are using are like kind of course, deactivating certain capacities and activating other capacities in the way, we communicate and we collectivize, and also we build our subjectivities. So this is why I am talking about the new that needs to challenge the status quo, because the status quo is this kind of similarization, yes. And then what do we do against it? How do we talk about it? How do we use it as a critical material, in the work that we do, and remind people there is another world out there, and there are many worlds out there also. This is the one thing that I really like about my work, that I managed to connect with different art circles, different social circles, reminding me there are so many worlds. And there is so much to learn also from those worlds. Though of course, like the status quo culture, when you only look at that phone, it says otherwise, and it's of course easier to control, for sure. I think it's also about using today's potentials, let's say, to be able to connect with people very fast over email or WhatsApp, or like be able to show work through websites and Instagram and all of this kind of different platforms. In a very conscious way, to actually use them what they're built for. So for example, also when internet was first built, it was an open platform for everyone to use. It's not this, what we are using right now, it's something else. So it turned into a product. But it was not always like this. And it's not like, for example, kind of a political suppression model, like what is going in Turkey, when people go out on the street and protest, the government cuts all internet connections so that people cannot post, so that even students cannot study their lessons because they cannot access the material online. This is not the internet that came in the first place. So I think we also need to be reminded how to get back certain technologies on our side, or how to get the most important, the most useful parts of those technologies to bring back that resistance in that everyday.
So if I'm going back to your interview text on the web page. That's what it means when you say you want to give hope.
Yes. Exactly. But you know, I mean, hope is not, of course, as we know, hope is not by itself useful. Hope needs to move with thoughtful action, consistent action. And it's also not about like kind of banner actions. You know, it's like, okay, if you're on this side, you do this, and if you're on this side, on this side. No. If you believe in a world to live in together in a different way, everyone, how do you behave then? What kind of ethics you build? How do you also activate those ethics through the art and text and exhibitions and the care structures you activate inside the exhibitions and institutions? So these are all connected with each other. It's not like kind of, you know, I mean, I put a post on Instagram and I turn my back and do otherwise. This used to be very luxurious and now it's kind of really over. Maybe that's also what for me is very clear in the last COVID. After COVID, you know, these kind of things become very obvious and people rightfully, many publics show reaction towards that and they are asking consistency and ethics and hope and imagination at the same time so they can go together.
Yes, but you are still working for Art Rotterdam, which is a big institution.
Yes.
A lot of people come, so you have a big visibility.
Yes.
So
I should be invisible because I defend these ideas?
No. I mean, that's a good platform for you.
Yes, I mean, that's why I'm invited to do it. You know, I'm working as a curator for the last 17 years and people know my work. I have nothing to hide. Also, all my political ideals, where I stand, the kind of equalities, visibilities that I fight for in my work, it's always very clear. So when, of course, an organization as such, when they bring me in, they are very curious how I translate it in the way the structure needs to work. Because art fair is a structure. How do these ideas translate and function in that space of, let's say, a market, like a kind of a fair, which is also important for art ecology. It's not something to be discarded, like kind of put away. It's more important is to bring balance. And again, to bring the really good inside all of these structures that I can actually build for bringing something interesting to the community that they are building. The most important thing is then to ask the question, how do I do things differently inside the structures that are existing and like kind of shifting them within. I'm talking about a very, very long process. I'm not talking about like a kind of a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year process. But I see in my work, in the 17 years that whenever I take action in this way, whenever I move forward with the belief and whenever I collaborate with the teams that I work with in this way, we always get amazing results. And I think the outcome of the new art section, I heard many good things from different circles of people visiting the fair, it's a proof.